we gather on the snow-crunched edge of winter, each of us showing up from our separate places to be together in our many ways today. We come light of heart. We come bearing heavy burdens. We come with bubbling imaginations. We come with pulsing questions. We come holding on to truth. We come dreaming of a better world. We come together because we are greater in diversity than individualism, greater while sharing than guarding, greater together this morning. Come, let us worship together. I'm the Reverend Rachael Hayes, minister of this congregation. I use she, her pronouns. I am so glad that you are here today. I invite you to say our congregation's chalice lighting words with me. We light this flame to invite a world of peace, where we heal the wounds, where we share what we have with one another, where justice is another word for relationship, and we listen for what love has to say. Our congregation is doing something we don't do every week that I'm very excited about. We are welcoming new members today. If today is your first time here, no pressure, you don't have to join. I want to make that clear. We will hold the official book signing ceremony immediately following the service, but our Ministry of Welcome and Membership and I would like to invite anyone who plans to sign the membership book today to come forward and introduce yourself to the congregation. So tell us your name and your pronouns if you wish, and the town where you live. And then we'll all say, welcome, and their name. And Libby's gonna help me out with this. Okay.
So come on up. You know who you are. Yeah, and I think it's a great idea to stand along on the steps so that people can see you. And I'm Libby Stanforth. I am a member of the group, the ministry we call the, what do we call ourselves? Welcome. I've been on vacation. Here, Joe. So I'm going to pass the mic, and I'm going to ask you to say your name, your pronouns if you would like, and as Rachel said, maybe the town where you live.
I am Joe Elkington. I live here in Amherst. He, him is my pronouns.
Welcome, Joe.
My name is Sarah Prager. I use she, her pronouns, and I live in Amherst.
Welcome, Sarah.
I'm Eleanor, and I use she, her pronouns, and I live in Amherst.
Welcome, Eleanor.
I am Molly, and my pronouns is they, them, she, her. And I live in Amherst.
Hi, my name is Aspen Prager. I use they, them pronouns, and I also live in Amherst.
Welcome, Aspen.
My name's Jack. I use he, him pronouns, and I live down in East Longmeadow, but hopefully up here soon.
Welcome, Jack. I'm Ellen. I use she, they pronouns, and I live in Hadley.
Welcome, Ellen.
I'm Bridget. I use she, they pronouns, and I live in Hadley.
Welcome, Bridget.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Laura Figueroa. I use she, her pronouns, and I live in Amherst.
Welcome, Laura.
I'm Marion Hazard. I use she, her pronouns, and I live in Amherst.
Welcome, Marion.
It's so exciting that you're here today.
Hi, my name is Brenda Miller, and I'm the music director here, and we have a song just for the new members. Well, for all of you, but especially for the new members.
we bound? Come morning, come night, here is my home. For those who work in harmony, where are we bound? Can learn to live in unity. Here is my home. Come darkness, come light. Where are we bound? Come morning, come night. Here is my home. If we can join ourselves in song, where are we bound? Our hearts to live when we are gone. Here is my home. Come darkness, come light. Where are we bound? Come morning, come night. Here is my home. The spirit that finds music here. Where are we bound? Will live forever in the air. Here is my home. Come darkness, come light. Where are we bound? Come morning, come night. Here is my home.
I'd like to invite any kids who want to come forward to hear a book. We're going to read a story called Melindy and Little Devil, which was collected by Virginia Hamilton and told in the book Her Stories. So let me move this stuff out of the way and we can get cozy here and read the book together. So any kids or grown-ups who like to come sit on the steps are invited to do so. But not required, but invited. Okay, so this story is called Melindy and Little Devil. And it goes, once upon a time, when geese were pigs and turkeys danced barnyard jigs, there lived a child, Melindy. She just loved to sing and dance. Everywhere she went, she sang about it. I'm gonna get me some milk from the moo-moo cow. And she would sway this way and that, to and fro. One time, Melindy had her pail full of warm milk right from the cow, and she was going home along the fence line. I'm going home to supper. I've got my milk pail by my side, she sang. Just then she tripped on a rough place on the path. The pail spilled milk all over the ground and all over Melindy, too. Melindy sat there weeping, staring at that rickety-crickety fence and singing, oh, boo-hoo, poor me. Now Papa will punish me, and I get no supper too, boo-hoo-hoo. Something came along on the topmost rail of the fence. It was fuzzy furry all over. It had a long tail. You, baboon, Melindy said, sniffling, what are you doing way out here? Baboon didn't say anything because it wasn't any. Melindy saw then that what she thought was an animal had a pitchfork. I know you, she said. You're a devil. She started blubbering hard again, but she wasn't crying over her spilt milk. No, she wasn't. Now, the devil said, don't take on so. I wouldn't hurt you. At that, Melindy stopped crying. "You're a tiny fellow," she said, for the devil looked to be the size of a slender monkey. "They call me Little Devil," he said, "but I know how to change." He grew to giant size, blotting out the trees. "Goodness," Melindy said, "you are truly something awful." "That I am," said Little Devil. "But listen, I'm just starting out with devilment. This is my first case with a child, and I want to help you." "I'm listening," Melindy said. "I'll restore your milk to its pail for a price," he told her. "Will you dry my dress off too? My mama will spank me for getting my dress all dirty," Melindy said. "I can do that," said Little Devil, "but first you must promise to give me your soul when you pass beyond the earth." "But I want to stay here a long time," said Melindy. "How long?" asked Little Devil. Melindy thought about it. She wanted to be as old as her mama someday. 29 years, she hollered, and she did a little dance. "I can do that for you, Melindy," said Little Devil. "I'll restore your milk and fix your dress like new. I'll give you 29 years, and at the end of that time, you will give me your soul." "It's a deal," Melindy said. "Let's dance," said Little Devil, and they did. They swung and swayed up and down the path. Right then, the pail stood upright. It was full of warm milk, and poof, Melindy's dress was dry and looked brand new. "Ooh-ee," shouted Melindy. She did a twirling dance in her sandals as Little Devil spun her just so. Well, the time went by and went by. Soon the 29 years had gone. Melindy was grown now, with children of her own. She'd forgot all about Little Devil. Such a good time she'd had. One morning, there was a commotion in the air around her. Everything turned black and red and all bright day. A loud voice hollered, "I'm going to come after you. I'm coming after you right now." And lo and behold, there was Little Devil standing before her, looking just like himself. "I remember you, no bigger than a minute," said Melindy. "How you doing?" "Doing all right, but I come for your soul." "You promised," said Little Devil. "I remember, I did," said Melindy. "Wait a minute, I'll get it for you." So she turned her back to him and tore off the sole of her shoe and turned around and gave her soul to him. "This it?" said Little Devil. "Sure is," said Melindy. "I thought it would be bigger," he said. "That's it," she said. So the ugly Little Devil had to take her soul to his master, and he didn't know any better, too. And Melindy, well, she went on dancing through life, and so did her many children, and they all lived happily ever after. See, because the devil can get your soul but one time. After that, he has to quit, and that's all. Okay, so on that note, I invite the congregation to rise and sing the hymn, "God is Change," which is on your order of service and the screen. But I think we can get the words of this pretty fast, and you don't need to look too hard. Repeat after me. All that you touch, you change.
All that you touch, you change.
All that you change changes you.
All that you change changes you.
The only lasting truth is change.
The only lasting truth is change.
God is change.
God is change.
Yeah.
Jeff and I are there. All right, here we go. The choir will sing it first for you if you don't know it first, but please stand. Thank you.
The hymn that we just sang turns words from Octavia Butler's novel, The Parable of the Sower, into a meditation. All that you touch, you change. All that you change changes you. The only lasting truth is change. God is change. The novel's protagonist, Lauren Olamina, writes these words in her notebook. She is a teenager when the novel begins, the daughter of a professor and Baptist preacher living in a gated neighborhood in a dystopian vision of California 2024. She is Black. She has a disability called hyperempathy syndrome, in which she literally feels the pain of those around her. Lauren Olamina lives in a bubble of relative stability in an unstable world. Her father holds his community together with the steadying force of his Baptist religion. The neighborhood has enough food, but eventually the outside world crashes in. Olamina has prepared a backpack to leave someday, and after their gate is destroyed, she takes to the road with two of her neighbors. She begins to teach them what she knows to be true, as her father had taught their neighborhood about the Bible, and they gather more companions along the way. The multiracial community they make and their religion of shaping change is called Earthseed. Butler published The Parable of the Sower in 1993. But her vision of 2024 feels oddly familiar. Escalating wealth inequality, climate collapse, political crisis, drug addiction, privatization of government services, California on fire. There is even a presidential candidate who wants to make America great again. Butler was not trying to predict what our time would be like. She was offering a warning of what could happen if the world she knew in the 80s and 90s continued down its track. Octavia Butler grew up in racially segregated Pasadena. She was a shy loner, and she was dyslexic. She struggled in school, both socially and academically. Her classmates bullied her. The library was her refuge. She escaped into fairy tales and stories about horses, and then she discovered science fiction and wrote stories in her notebook. Butler is part of a long line of Black storytellers. Virginia Hamilton collected African American stories, the folk tales, eerie tales, and oral histories passed from one generation to the next. It's Virginia Hamilton's telling of Melindy and Little Devil that I just read. Virginia Hamilton said that storytelling was the first opportunity for Black people to represent themselves as anything other than property. Storytelling could not be taken away. So long as the stories were told, they lived, and lived freely. For enslaved people, stories were resilience and hope and freedom. Telling stories about Black people's lives, minds, cleverness, resourcefulness, and beauty was and is crucial to Black survival and the Black freedom struggle. It's the same impulse that led enslaved singers to create the spirituals, sublime songs of struggle, of heaven, of healing, of deliverance, a vision of something better to hold as a resource while facing the horrors of slavery. There's a reason these songs have spoken to the generations and emerged in a new way during the civil rights movement. The resources in them speak directly to the struggle for freedom. Contemporary authors have continued the traditions of Butler's threads of science fiction. Butler never wanted to be the only Black woman known for writing science fiction, and that is very clearly no longer the case. There are many Black women writing sci-fi, fantasy, and other types of speculative fiction. The possibilities for world building when you can start anywhere are leading to really beautiful works of imagination. And no one is building richer, more complex worlds than N.K. Jemisin. Her Inheritance trilogy is a complex world of deities, unworthy royalty, and political conspiracy. Her Broken Earth series is a heartbreaking tale of a mother's love amid systems of caste and control on an unstable planet. And set in a world more like our own, with wild imagination layered into it, The City We Became, and its sequel, The World We Make, individuals discover that they are avatars of New York City and its boroughs, fighting an existential war against the manifestations of white supremacy. These novels are completely engaging, but definitely not escapist fiction. Jemisin is imagining bigger than glossy or cozy fiction. In her essay, How Long Till Black Future Month? The Toxins of Speculative Fiction and the Antidote That Is Janelle Monáe, which is not to be confused with the short story collection of the same name. She names the power of speculative fiction to either challenge or reinforce racism and other systems of oppression. We don't need white supremacy on rocket ships any more than we need it in the world where we live. Jemisin says that if fiction isn't challenging racism, it's perpetuating it. Authors Adrienne Marie Brown and Walida Imarisha challenged social justice activists to write visionary fiction, which they define as science fiction that has relevance toward building new, freer worlds. They collected these stories and published them as a book called Octavia's Brood, in honor of Octavia Butler's legacy of socially relevant science fiction. In the introduction to Octavia's Brood, Imarisha writes, "Whenever we try to envision a world without war, without violence, without prisons, without capitalism, we are engaging in speculative fiction. All organizing is science fiction." She continues, "Visionary fiction encompasses all of the fantastic, with the arc always bending toward justice. We believe this space is vital for any process of decolonization because the decolonization of the imagination is the most dangerous and subversive form there is, for it is where all other forms of decolonization are born. Once the imagination is unshackled, liberation is limitless." I'm going to read that again. Once the imagination is unshackled, liberation is limitless. This is what Black storytellers have done throughout history, for sanity, for survival, for liberation. And it sounds like a tool we all need to learn to use, a practice more of us need to hold. Every now and then, I ask you to imagine a world free from systemic oppression, where all people have the opportunity to thrive. We call this beloved community. As Imarisha says, we have never yet seen a world free from racism, war, violence, oppression, but we need to be able to imagine it as we work for it. Many of you have asked me in recent months, what can we do? The world and political reality we have are not acceptable. Our climate crisis is not acceptable. Our human rights abuses are not acceptable. We will not accept them. We will sign the petitions and contact our officials. We will turn out to protests. We will help our neighbors. But as we do all of those things, we need to keep imagining the beloved community. We need to keep the vision of it before us. We need to tell the stories of what peace will be like, what equality will be like, what freedom will be like, what thriving will be like. We need to tell the stories of how we will get there, how we will meet the challenges of life without resorting to the old patterns of oppression, how we will nurture each other's resilience when times are hard. We need to keep our imaginations active, to move beyond the old patterns and enter a new way. Whether you are reading it or writing it, or simply imagining, we need to keep unshackling our imaginations. As Olamina wrote in her notebook, all that you touch, you change. All that you change changes you. The only lasting truth is change. God is change. Change will come. Which change will it be? It is up to us to shape change into a better human destiny, one that is freer than the world we see around us. Another world is possible. Each week we join together in a practice of building a better world and community. We collect an offering and we split it with an outside organization to help us remember that we can't make the world a better place on our own. Half of the money collected in our offering today supports the programs of our congregation. The other half of the money will support the Massachusetts Medication Abortion Access Fund, the MAP. The MAP offers asynchronous telemedicine services to abortion seekers throughout the U.S. Medication abortion care is offered to abortion seekers who are 11 weeks pregnant or less. Each patient pays what they can, from as little as $5 to the $250 the service costs. In recent months, the number of patients has increased from 500 before the election to around 2,500. At this level of demand for services with the pay-what-you-can model, it is difficult to manage the service, and outside donations to the MAP are essential to fill the gap. Please give generously today. You can donate virtually by text or through our website, uusocietyamherst.org, or we have baskets too. I invite you to say the words to extinguish our chalice with me. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. We are about to sing our closing song. You're welcome to stay right where you are and be held in the love of our congregation, or you are welcome to rise and move into a circle along the outer aisle, place your hands over your heart, or reach out to someone near you as we sing our closing song. From Audre Lorde, and I dream of us coming together encircled, driven not only by love, but by a lust for a working tomorrow. The flights of this journey, mapless, uncertain, and necessary as water. Go in peace.